Right guys, hello and welcome to the video. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk you through my entire 88 week or 20 month, whatever you want to call it, gaining phase. So I'll probably put like a clickbait title like I gained 60 odd pounds in however long, 20 months. Obviously a lot of that is body fat. So I started the gaining phase, I've got my sheets in front of me, so I started them the 2nd of November because the BNBF show that I was hoping to enter ended up being postponed. Actually it was the 5th of November, sorry. The lightest I weighed was 166 pounds and the heaviest that I got up to was 232 pounds. So 232, I've already worked this out, but 232 minus 166, 66 pounds. So yeah, I gained 66 pounds, and like I say, a lot of that is obviously going to be body fat. I'm not going to gain 66 pounds in 20 months as a natural. It'd be nice if I did, but I definitely haven't. Hopefully I've gained maybe between 10 and 20, that'd be amazing. I've definitely improved 100%. I can see that visually, I can see that in regards to my performance. I've still got loads of improvements to make as well. But yeah, started the gaining phase on the 5th of November and concluded it on the 4th of July. So again, that was sort of 88 weeks worth of a gaining phase. And I just thought I'd sort of discuss, the benefits of it, the potential negative sides of it as well, and sort of the goals moving forward. So generally, the goal of the gaining phase is obviously to improve. A lot of people just go, oh, I'm going to go into a bulk, and they don't really go into a productive gaining phase. They go into a lazy position where they just start eating loads of food and don't really progress their performance. The primary goal for me was to progress my performance, and realistically, coming out of a contest prep, it's going to take a little bit of time to do that. So for the first, at least a good few months, it's generally a case of recovering from the hole that you're in after the prep. You're under a hell of a lot of fatigue. Generally not just in regards to sort of dieting fatigue, but also like emotional fatigue. It's complete fatigue across the entire body, systematic fatigue if you like, from a contest prep, and ultimately you need to come out of that, and it takes time. It takes time to get your hormones back into a healthy range. It takes time to start feeling yourself again, start feeling normal again. So the first few months coming out of prep was the goal of recovering basically, and after that it's a case of, right, cool, I'm feeling better, I can crack on, I can grow. Now, it takes time for you to feel better. You're not just going to feel better, 3 months down the line, I feel great. It takes time, and throughout the gaining phase at different points, I was starting to think, I feel more normal now. And I'd probably say once I got up to, let's say, 180 pounds or so, and I'd been gaining for a good few months, I started to feel back to quote unquote normal. And generally for me, I have always sort of, if you like, held quite a lean body composition, and that's, if anything, been my downfall in terms of not building as much muscle as I could. So I knew that this time round I needed to actually push into an off season. Before prep I did have an off season and did push up. I pushed up to 207 pounds. This time I pushed up to 232 pounds. So although I did have an off season last time, it was quite short, it was quite aggressive to push on and then diet down from, whereas this time it's been a decent amount of time, 20 months of gaining gradually, and like I say, my performance has improved a lot. My numbers have improved across the board, every single exercise, especially big compound movements, especially my weaker body parts like my lower body, like my back. So performance has improved a hell of a lot. And it needed to, and again continues to need to. There's never an end point. There's not like a finishing point or an end goal. There's always room to keep improving. So in terms of like struggles, because a lot of people will struggle with a gaining phase, more often than not, the main reason that people end up stopping a gaining phase is because of appetite, and they can't actually work their food up anymore. Again, I think that people almost obsess a little bit too much about the food side of things. If you actually get your food into a comfortable position, let's say where you're eating enough to be in a slight surplus or even at maintenance, you get your body fat levels up to a healthy position where you're not crazy lean because you don't need to be, but you're also not incredibly soft, like overly fat, because you don't need to be. You find a range in between there, and that range is going to be different for everybody. For me, that's probably anywhere between 180 pounds up to maybe 230 pounds. I didn't need to get any heavier than 230 pounds, definitely. Okay, for other people it might be a smaller range, yeah, and obviously for bigger individuals or smaller individuals that's going to be a different range. But find that range that you work within, and generally that's where you want to be 95% of the time. The only time that you really want to be outside of that range is if you are competing, yeah, or potentially trying to get like really lean for a photo shoot or a holiday. But outside of that, you need to be in that healthy range and that progressive range for performance. And that's exactly where I was for the majority of the time. I've obviously worked my food up quite a lot. Coming out of the contest prep, my food was at so about just over 3,000 calories on a training day and just over 2,500 calories on a rest day. And I worked my food up to over 5,000 calories on a training day and over 4,000 calories on a rest day. So, in the space of 20 months, I gradually earned the right to work my food up through generally increasing my performance, increasing my muscle mass, and also just being, generally being meticulous with things. Because if I just went up to 5,000 calories like that, I first of all would feel pretty horrendous, and I would have gained a lot of body fat really quickly, whereas I gained that body fat slowly over a period of time so that I could spend longer in a gaining phase, because that is the goal, being in that position, like I just said, for as long as possible. Yeah, so that was the goal, and that's what I've done. And the main reason that I'm dieting is because of the time frame for prep next year. So I'll come on to that in a minute, but in regards to what I actually struggled with, obviously you don't look great. Like, I didn't like how I looked, and that's normal. That's part of a gaining phase. That's something that you have to understand. If you want to really improve, you're probably going to have to get out your comfort zone a little bit. And that's even the said with food as well, where you will have to push food to an extent. Like I say, most people struggle and stop a gaining phase because of appetite, and that's, again, a lot of the time down to focusing too much on the food side of things and not enough on the performance side of things. But for me, it was mainly like just the actual amount of time that it took to eat my meals. That was the main struggle. So it's nice now I'm dieting to have smaller meals and meals that are a lot easier to consume and also quicker to make as well. I didn't really struggle with anything else outside of that. Obviously you could argue that it's a bit of a struggle when you're seeing other people compete or clients compete and you want to get lean, but the overwhelming goal of needing more muscle is so much greater than just wanting to be lean. Yeah, and I know that if I just get lean again, if I'd have got lean again, let's say if I'd have done 8 months and then got lean again, I'd have looked the exact same. I'd have been a tiny bit better, not a lot. So yeah, I've had 20 months. Now I'm going to have 3 months of dieting, which I'm going to explain in another video, and then I will have another 6 months or so of working back up gradually before a contest prep next year, which again I'll obviously explain in due course. But yeah, I will leave it at that. That's kind of what I wanted to cover. In terms of things that I've learned from the gaining phase, I've covered a few of them in here, is focus more so on performance. Don't just focus about eating a certain amount of food or having to gain a certain amount of weight per week. Focus on your performance. That's the most important thing. Don't neglect rest and deloads. You're not going to be in a better spot by just running yourself into the ground. You need to pull back and think of it as like a slingshot, where you're pulling back to project yourself forwards or taking 1 step back to take 2 steps forwards, that kind of analogy. So don't neglect rest and deloads. Choose food options that actually work well with you. Don't just choose food options that you think will work well. So like, for example, for me, rice, white rice, jasmine rice digests really, really well. So I had a lot of jasmine rice in my diet. Fruit juice, really easy calories. Cereal, really easy to get in. I didn't really have many things like, I didn't have like Pop-Tarts or cookies or anything like that, because they actually made it, for me, they made it more challenging with them being quite calorie dense and almost a little bit sickly. On that amount of food, it's quite difficult to get those in my opinion. I prefer to have a lot of rice, things like bagels, crumpets, jam, things that aren't overly sickly but are high carb, low fat generally. So yeah, like that's generally what I've learned. There's not much else. Like I got exactly what I expected out of the gaining phase, and generally, like I said, the main reason I'm dieting is because I need to get myself in a better position for prep. Simple as that. Okay. But yeah, I will leave it at that. So like I say, I'll do another video explaining the diet, but I hope this explained the gaining phase. And like I say, I'll get Pete to put some photo comparisons up. And please, if anybody's got any questions, just ask in the comments below. But please like the video, subscribe, share with your friends, all that jazz. And I will catch you in the next one.